Yesterday, I uploaded a part 1 to this style of video, and you guys said you really liked it, and since I had so many more ideas, I figured let's just make a part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1 of that video, go check it out, and then of course come back to this one. Today, of course, we're going to revisit some more of Fortnite's most forgotten about features of all time. While this video is mainly centered around just features, I do have multiple videos going over some of Fortnite's most forgotten about items and weapons of all time, so go check those out if you want. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave me a like and use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop to help my channel out here. With that all being said, let's get right into it. We got a good list here. Alright, right away, we got to start with one that I guarantee you somebody watching this video forgot about. That is when explosive damage would happen through walls in November of 2018. This was not a mistake. This was meant to happen. This was an intended change by developers to try and stop turtling. Essentially just boxing up in your 1x1 and staying there. And if this sounds absolutely insane and terrible, well, that's because it absolutely was. It was a horrible idea and was reverted extremely quickly. And this update came out in November of 2018, and it basically made it so that you would still take 25% splash damage from my nearby explosives, even if you were behind the wall. They tried to promote aggression here, but it just went totally south. I mean, it is just a terrible idea for multiple reasons, right? I don't even have to explain why this is such a bad idea. And if you can believe it, it only took a day to revert the changes. They were only in the game for one day. They came out and said, look, we messed up. We are going to take it out of the game. And you'll see it in the gameplay, right? Like, people are literally building ceilings above themselves. They're building a 1x1 and getting hit by rocket launchers. It's insane to talk about, but yeah, this actually happened. It's basically a similar situation to when they nerfed turbo building and you could no longer turbo build. The community went crazy, and after a day they were like, all right, yeah, we messed up, it's done. I guarantee you somebody watching it, maybe even you watching it at home, forgot about this. We also have to talk about one of the most prominent features in all of chapter 4, and that is augments. I mean, what happened to augments? I mean, they were like a core part of chapter 4. They were brand new, they were fun, they were creative, innovative, and now they're just gone. And I don't know if we'll ever see them come back, to be honest with you. While I will say they did start to get a little bit stale towards the end of chapter 4, especially in chapter 4 season 1, I felt like they were a really good addition and they felt fresh and new. If you want to hear me talk more about augments, I have a video revisiting some of Fortnite's worst and some of Fortnite's best augments, so go check that one out. And if you'd like to see me rank every single augment, that would be an absolutely beefy video, but let me know in the comments. But yeah, I mean, I have no idea what happened to augments. I don't think anybody does. They just disappeared for chapter 5. And obviously chapter 4 like just happened, right? So I don't think a lot of people forgot about augments, but it kind of just gets pushed to the wayside and pushed to the back of your head, right? Because they just disappeared. It's not like they were slowly being phased out or they just really were hated by the community. They just are gone and probably never going to come back, at least in the near future. Next, I have a little bit of a cheat pick here, and it's basically two things in one. That's going to be Starry Suburbs, but also the loot stars that you could find the legendary TAC SMG in that only could be found at Starry Suburbs. And I will put it out there, Starry Suburbs is one of my favorite POIs, and it's such a shame that it hasn't gotten more time. This POI was added in September 25th of 2019 in Season X and was removed in October 13th of 2019. That is just about 2.5 weeks it was only in the game. It's actually really funny because if you go to the Fortnite wiki and look up Starry Suburbs, it's just update v10.4. Starry Suburbs was added as a rift zone, and then the end, Starry Suburbs was sucked into the black hole. That's it. It was barely in the game. And honestly, just for that reason, for how little it was in the game, Starry Suburbs deserves to be here. It was like a nice, cozy little town that was in its own bubble and just like pushed off kind of into the corner of the map in an area where not a lot of people went. But more importantly, they actually would drop stars only in this POI. They would shoot from the sky and then they would come down and land, and only in those stars could you find the legendary TAC SMG. You could also find other like high tier loot. I mean, think about them as basically just the loot drones, right? Except being on the ground instead of hovering in the air. Again, if you did not play Fortnite for those 2 or 3 weeks at the end of Season X, there's no way that you would ever know this place existed. It is one of my favorite POIs of all time, and man, bring back Starry Suburbs, please. It is forgotten, but not in my heart. I love this place. All right, and let's talk very briefly about animated loading screens. This was brought to my attention in my community post asking about what you guys thought were some of Fortnite's most forgotten about features. So if you'd like to participate in posts like that, subscribe. I post them almost every single day. And without the help of you guys, I would not have gotten this one. I totally forgot and didn't even know really that this happened, but animated loading screens were a thing very briefly. And there are only 2 of them. Out of the thousands of loading screens, there were only 2. One was Lynx in Season 7 and one was Hybrid in Season 8. I believe that's it. And then they haven't made one since. They haven't come out with one since. And it's literally been like 5 or 6 years since those have come out. And that's because apparently they were causing performance issues when you were loading into the game, which I guess makes sense, especially if you're on something like a Switch or like a lower power console. That makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. You guys know what loading screens are. There's not like a ton of gameplay for it. So yeah, I mean, that's what I got to say about this. Next, let's talk about sand tunneling from Chapter 2, Season 5. This is an interesting one. So sand tunneling was supposed to be like the main form of mobility in this season, Chapter 2, Season 5. Of course, we had the introduction of the brand new like sandy desert biome, had the Coliseum, had I believe the 0 point up top with all like those pink crystals, if you remember. And basically how this would work is like you would stand still in the sand for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then you would go under the sand and you'd have this like little circle above you, like above you where your head would be if you were under the sand, and then that's how you would move around the sand. It sounds pretty interesting, but the only problem is this was disabled on and off so many times during the season. It honestly felt like it was barely in the game. There were so many bugs with sand tunneling. I'm telling you guys, they disabled this thing like 5 or 10 times the entire season. It was just so buggy. There were so many bugs with it. I mean, it was barely in the game, and honestly, it was only in the game for that one season, Chapter 2, Season 5, and we will definitely never see this again, in my opinion, so that's what makes it so forgotten about. I mean, if you go on the Fortnite wiki, it's just a whole long, like, document of just this thing being bugged and glitched out. I mean, it's crazy actually reading this right now. It was disabled at one time for 33 days in a row. I mean, that's insane, right? That's like half of a season. And this was supposed to be, remember, the like main form of mobility this entire season. So yeah, I mean, it kind of flopped, to be honest with you, and entirely forgotten about in my opinion. All right, let's talk about cosmic chests here because they're kind of interesting. And am I absolutely going to shamelessly plug here again for like the 5th time in this video? Of course I am. I just made a video ranking every single chest, so yeah, go check that one out. You might as well while you're checking the other 20,000 out. And cosmic chests ranked pretty low on that list, and I'll explain. These chests were only in Chapter 2, Season 7, and essentially the way they would work is they would like spawn in a random location, and you had to have everybody in your squad go and pickaxe the chest essentially out of the crystal. And I could be wrong here, but I got a comment the other day saying that your loot was better as long as you were more accurate when you hit the cosmic chest, and you'll see what I'm talking about in the gameplay. Notably, this chest was also not in solos. It was only in duos, trios, and squads. You could not have this chest in a solo game mode. So if you are mainly a solos player, there's a chance you've never opened a cosmic chest in your life. I just remember the loot being really, really underwhelming, and since it was only in the game for one season, both those factors are just a recipe for something to be forgotten. I think it's a cool idea, honestly, but in my opinion, just didn't work out in game. I mean, yeah, there's a good possibility that you've never opened a cosmic chest before. And I figured, why don't we just stick with Chapter 2, Season 7 here and talk about alien parasites. And these things are really cool. This is one of the most unique, innovative things we've ever seen in Fortnite. And I swear, honestly, I could say that about 3/4 of the weapons that were added in Chapter 2, Season 7. What an underrated season that was. But if you never played this season, you probably didn't know that these things existed, so let me explain what they are. So essentially, these alien parasite eggs would be scattered around the map, and then once an egg was destroyed, or if it hatched, the parasite would come out. It would then stick to nearby wildlife, players, henchmen, or characters, and it would consume your HP. Notably though, capping at 75 HP remaining. So you might think like, oh, these parasites are bad. Why would anybody want them on you? Well, in exchange for that damage it takes, it would grant increased speed and jump height, and here's the key, this is the massive thing, a resistance to damage from headshots. And that's the main reason why this actually kind of became like a little meta. People would actually trade that 25 white heals to go into a box fight with a parasite on your head because you knew that you couldn't get 200 pumped. It's actually really cool. Like, it's a really cool idea. I also feel like I remember them having like a distortion effect. I'm not sure if it was with the voice or if I'm messing up Fortnitemares from that one season, which honestly, that could have been a whole placement in and of itself when your voice would change when you became a zombie in Fortnitemares in Chapter to season 4, I want to say. Don't quote me on that though. I don't know. It was just a really unique, innovative idea, and honestly, I really liked Parasites. I think they were a cool addition, and it probably will never come back, let's be honest. All right, for my final placement on this list, if you are watching till the end, you are rewarded with a good one here. That is Secret Battle Stars, and man, this is OG. This brings back some memories talking about this. I mean, in my opinion, this is like one of the core fun things that I miss about OG Fortnite is searching for these Secret Battle Stars. This was a huge deal back then. It might sound stupid now, but if you played back then, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You basically got a free battle pass tier. That's huge back then. Now it's like super easy to just max out the battle pass, right? You just play more, get the XP, but back then it wasn't like that at all. And the battle pass was actually a mega grind to get to tier 100. And so essentially all these Secret Battle Stars they were just an instant tier up, right? They would give you one tier in the battle pass, but they could only be found by hints from the corresponding week's loading screen. So you would go to the week's loading screen and there would be a hint in there somewhere. It would vary from like a faint battle star in the image or like specific coordinates that would match like the grid of a certain location on the map. Just off the top of my head, one of the more memorable Secret Battle Stars that I remember was in the loading screen with Rex, and you had all like the characters playing around, and Rex was holding the map, and on that map there was like the umbrella, and there was like a faint battle star logo inside that umbrella. Well, would you know it, and the next week you drop into the umbrella and there's a Secret Battle Star in there. It's just really cool how it worked. This is really just one of the beauties of OG Fortnite. It really is. This is one of those things that made the game special, and I miss it, but it doesn't look like with the current battle pass system something like this will come back. Unfortunately, it has been forgotten in time. So yeah, guys, that is my part 2 to kind of revisiting some of Fortnite's most forgotten about features of all time. Let me know, did you enjoy this video? Is there anything that I missed on this list? If you guys would like to see a part 3 and you guys comment a bunch more ideas that I think are good, I will absolutely make a part 3 to this video. Be sure to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace.